What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Vesta, and today we back with another video. And this one a little different. You know what I'm saying? I've been watching Foolio and them killers for a minute, but well, not watching them, but you know, I've been watching the trial. And today we got another one. I'm gonna go back and do a video on Alicia and her trial. That was kind of crazy, but today we got a different one. I don't even know his name, but hey, we about to get into it. It's crazy.
Motion to allow testimony of the impact of defendant's execution on family members, right? So, yeah, just let him know. And really, and this applies to Mr. Rashad Murphy and all of the defendants in this case, obviously, if we get to a penalty phase, you and your counsel can and should tell the jury every great thing about you, every redeeming characteristic about the totality of your life, okay? So, all right, very good.
That's a W for the defendants right there. What's this man writing down?
And I didn't agree with that for a lot of reasons, but having done a little more research, I don't see a reason why his possession of a firearm.
Hey man, shout out to Cup Boys, man. I like watching this video just because he is explaining me, breaking down to you real good, man. If y'all can, go follow him. You know what I'm saying? Won't get back into it.
Being under 21 and over 18 was unlawful. I know that's what the officers apparently believed, but I don't see a reason why that was unlawful. And if the state, has a reason that I'm missing, I'm sure they would bring it up. But to go back and redress that question after having done some other research, if he was under 18, it would have been unlawful. But I don't believe possessing a handgun between 18 and 21 is unlawful.
Okay.
Ooh, this lawyer, he's fighting to try to get this gun evidence out as hard as he can, man. It's very incriminating.
Judge, if it is securely a case, I think that he is correct, but there is a law for that. But what he was arrested for was the possession of drugs and drug paraphernalia.
No, I understand, but I think the argument was made. I think law enforcement took the position that was also.
They did, Judge. They believe that, and correctly so, that there is a law that if you are under the age of 21, you're not allowed to possess a handgun. But there is also additional part of that statute that says as long as it is securely encased, and it's our understanding that that was in the console of the car.
So do you agree that would have been securely encased in the console of the car within the meaning of that statute?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's so easy to become a podcaster with Riverside.
I don't know,
you
man.
just need a concept and a way to record.
What y'all think about it?
Here's
Okay, all right, thank you.
Like, if y'all don't know the story with Foolio, man, he was a rapper from Jacksonville. You know, he got gunned down like a birthday party on his birthday, man. You know that it's sad, but you got to go back and watch the history of him and see how, you know what I'm saying? But that's fucked up, man. It's messed up for real.
We'll move on to argument regarding the various motions as it relates to the gang evidence and
Gang evidence. It's a big deal here. I mean, jury hearing all this, you know what I mean? Seeing all the evidence, the pictures of them as gang members and all that.
hearing the state first is for the state to articulate exactly what it is that they're intending to admit. So that's my motivation in asking the state at this point to proceed, is for them to identify on the record exactly which incidents they are intending to introduce.
Support me on Patreon for just 10 cents per day. I'm putting up bonus videos on there, uncensored videos. Thank you.
And then I will have the defendants argue their various motions.
Thank you.
So if I'm looking at the state's motion, it looks like you're going back as far as 2018. So it looks like, pursuant to the motion itself, August 18th of 2018, Joe Rod Adams, also known as Spaz, was murdered at a Rains High School football game. Adams, it's alleged, was a 1200 associate. Robert Howard and Adrian Bibby Gaynor were suspects in the homicide of Adams.
Hey, if y'all don't know, this is Foolio right here with the dreads, man. Golly, bro, that's crazy. I think they said that's Bibby next to him. What the hell, man? Crazy work, bro. Bro had so many bullets in him. Oh, man.
Howard and Gaynor are six block members, and Robert Howard was convicted and served a 5-year prison sentence for manslaughter and aggravated battery on that case. I believe Robert Howard was also a victim in this case, and he did testify in the Andrews case. The state also alleges or discussed in February of 2019, Adrian Bibby Gaynor was shot and killed in Jacksonville, Florida. Adrian Bibby Gaynor is known to be close with the victim, Charles Jones, and is associated with 6 Block. Hakeem Cousteau Robinson and Leroy Scotty Whitaker, gang members of ATK, are currently charged with murder for the death of Gaynor. And the state identifies August 16, 2023.
I'm pretty sure Queso just pled guilty to that, right? Didn't Queso get like 10 years for the murder of Bibby?
Hey, definitely did, man. If y'all ain't tuned into the Queso trial, bro, that was crazy too, bro. Popston testified on him, man. I'm gonna do a reaction video of that too, man. Let me know.
Like a month ago or something?
Jaquan Pickens, bully gang member, was shot multiple times and killed. Bully gang is associated with and allied with 6 Block. And then August 17th of 2023, there's an attempted murder.
Hey, he kind of look like Juice WRLD a little bit, man. I ain't even gonna lie. Just a little bit.
Toby Beals, a 1200 gang member. This shooting was believed to have been committed in retaliation for the murder of Jake Pickens that occurred the day before on August 18th. On October 7th, 2023, Antonio Tilley, a TK gang member, was murdered. Members from 6 Block claimed credit for the murder on social media. On the same day that Tilley was murdered, immediately after, there was an attempted murder committed against the victim in our case, Charles Jones. So I'm assuming, are those all of the prior incidents of gang violence that you were seeking to introduce?
Yes, Your Honor. That's what was outlined in my motion that we responded to, the motion for severance for Rashad Murphy. It's also what we have listed previously in all the defendant's case as under notice of inextricably intertwined evidence, Judge. Along with, there are some drill rap videos that also mention some additional gang members.
So state right here, she's saying it's all intertwined. It all has to be shown together to show the whole context of everything.
To introduce, and Judge, it is the state's position that those 6 incidents, as well as the drill rap videos that we have listed in discovery as inextricably intertwined and evidence of motive, is relevant to this case against all of the defendants. First of all, the 3 defendants, Isaiah Chance, Rashad Murphy, and Davian Murphy, are gang members, and as part of our requirement for proof for that particular gang enhancement, we have to prove that they were gang members and that this crime was committed for the purpose of enhancing or benefiting the gang in some way. And Judge, we are prepared to do that. As far as Sean Gackwright, we believe that it is also admissible in his case. He is closely tied to Isaiah Chance, who is a known gang member. There is evidence that he is the supplier of the gun, as well as there is evidence that directly links him to the attempted murder of Charles Jones that occurred in October of 2023.
Still crazy to me. Was it shell casings? He kept shell casings, I think, of an attempted murder in Foolio from when he got shot in the foot. Like, how?
Like, come on, bro. That's crazy for real, bro. Like what? Come on, man. You got him in a car, then you get pulled over. Like, how crazy can you be, bro? Like, what? Come on, man.
Dumb are you?
Case law,
For real.
this argument inextricably intertwined that is directly relevant to gangs. In particular, I will again cite to that Richardson case what was very clear, that there were 6 prior shootings that was introduced in that trial. That was a gang case that occurred again up in Jacksonville, where a child was shot and killed, and his grandmother and another woman in the car along with him were shot at but unharmed. And what the court went through is this whole argument about inextricably intertwined, and the state in that case was able to show to the jury through the documentation by the gang itself, that's how it qualified these drill rap videos, was the fact that this gang war was documented by the gang members themselves on social media, by not only drill rap videos, by social media postings. All of that was evidence of motive, and the court acknowledged that that was highly prejudicial, especially the prior shootings, but it was not substantially outweighed by the probative value of motive, and that is what this is in this particular case. It is motive. It tells why in Richardson, why. That baby was shot, because there were gang members that were standing on the street where that baby and his family were, and it provided the explanation why that shooting happened, the motive, all of the reasons, and give context to why the shooting happened. And so it is highly probative, motive evidence in any case, by the probative value, and it is necessary for us to be able to actually explain to the jury what led up to this shooting, what was the motive, why they all came down to Tampa in one day for the specific purpose of shooting Charles Jones.
Like, that's so clear. They got them boys on camera. They got them, like, come on, man. They tracked them boys all the way from I forgot where they came from, all the way in Jacksonville, taking the interstates, all that. Like, come on, man. You got to do better.
And it all has to do with this back and forth gang war that is going on. 3 of the people of the 4 that are left are part of.
Hey, y'all, let me know how y'all feel about this. Do y'all think something should have happened to Foolio, man? I don't think nothing should have happened to Foolio. Like, man, you know, everybody talk. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt. Come on, man. I don't really know, though, man. You know, I ain't trying to really get up into the gang war. I heard it was tough. It was bad, bro. But we really just need to stop the violence altogether. Like, because, come on, man. We just losing people. That don't even make sense.
Gang that are allied together that dislike Charles Jones. Those drill rap videos, the evidence on social media that shows the back and forth, all of those are connected to these 6 incidences that we have alleged. In particular, Adrian Bibby Gaynor has a relationship. He had the nickname Spaz, was a gang 1200 associate, and is related to the Murphy. So obviously, going back to that specific case, especially since Robert Howard, who is also a person that was with the victim when he shot and is a witness in this case, is relevant and gives history to the significance of the motive in this particular case.
Okay, there was testimony that Joe Rod Adams is actually the brother of Davion Murphy. Is that correct?
Judge, there was testimony, I believe, by one of the detectives. They knew that there was a relationship. They had had him referred to as a brother, but they were not absolutely certain as to whether it was a brother or a cousin, but they are sure that there is a relation. Between both of the Murphys and Joe Rod Adams.
Okay.
But he did at one point believe that he was a brother to, I want to make sure, Rashad Murphy and cousin to Davion. I now believe that that is the reverse.
So I was going to ask you, what is the state's proof? Unless the defense is conceding that they're related. Mr. Gonzalez? Excuse me. Well, it'd be Mr. Gonzalez and then also...
Rashad and Davion have some sort of, family relationship with Gerard Adams, the kid Spaz that was killed at Rains High School in 2018. So that they're obviously saying it's motive, like it's revenge for their family member that was killed. But they're not really conceding that they're related.
Well, Judge, I think it's the state's burden
I agree.
to...
All right, fellas, let's be honest. Buying jewelry can be a nightmare because the quality can be terrible and it snaps after a week, or it's usually insanely overpriced with ridiculous markups. That's why I go with GLD. They've completely... Go cop it for summertime. Appreciate you, boys. Back to the video.
I don't know, man.
You
Chat, how
love
y'all
building
feel about
high-performing
this, man?
websites,
Yeah,
but you don't
really.
love having...
Mr. Davion Murphy and Mr. Rashad Murphy refer to Joe Rod Adams as their brother.
And was that in text messages or...
In their interviews.
In their interviews?
Correct. More recently, there are phone calls which Davion Murphy has made with his mother, which indicate that the relationship is cousins. The detectives' evidence as far as following the gangs that they provided to us in preparing for the case were that the relationship established that they believed it to be was a cousin relationship. But the reference that we have is that they are brothers. I cannot tell the court whether that means that they are blood related or they just refer to each other as a brother.
Okay.
Judge, how the state of Florida gets to the point where they can elicit this type of evidence is the issue here. The second motion in limine, in addition to the Daubert challenge, requests that the court prohibit the admission of law enforcement opinion testimony and related evidence concerning A, alleged prior gang war history, hearsay-based gang intelligence, and purported uncharged gang-related incidents. It's our belief that the state is going to attempt to present to the jury a large and sweeping narrative that goes back 6 years, at least as referenced in the state's motion for pretrial ruling on admissibility, of a gang war in Jacksonville that includes multiple groups, dozens, if not more, of individuals, a series of shootings and homicides going back to, based on their motion, 2018. This one being in June of 2020.
Look at that, boy. That's crazy. We're going to skip this part right here. That's crazy.
Our belief that is not supported by admissible evidence. Through
Look at all three of
what
them
now appears to be
sitting right
three detectives Nieder, Griffith, and McCullough, the state's going to attempt to introduce opinion testimony, which I submit to the court lacks, or labeling historical violence as retaliatory conduct, and also utilizing a plethora and what is the primary basis of their testimony being hearsay-based intelligence derived from reports from other officers, confidential informants that are undocumented, lyrical interpretation of, by opinion testimony of rap videos, evidence of uncharged and unsolved shootings, wholly, by the way, unconnected with Mr. Murphy. And collectively, I believe it invites the jury to decide somebody's guilt, in this case, Mr. Murphy's guilt, based on association and propensity rather than admissible evidence.
So you're saying they're leading the jury the wrong way with different evidence that shouldn't be allowed in. But wasn't your client on video in Walmart with a matching outfit of a shooter and arrested in one of the cars that was used in the murder and took pictures of his shoes and boots in the car with burner phones by his feet? And bro's sleeping.
Read that in her room.
And he has a family.
And I'm sorry, are we on your second motion in limine or third?
It's number two, Judge.
Okay.
To that extent, the state is going to have detectives outline a history of this conflict going back to 2018, most of which are unsolved, and none of which are alleged.
Listen, so Rashad Murphy, the dude with the dreads over here, that's sitting by himself from the other two, he definitely got a whole family. He got a whole family, like 3 or 4 kids. Now, he tried to write a plea. Hey, they mistreat me in here. Hey, I can't talk to my kids. I can't talk to my wife. Hey, damn, motherfucker. At least you can do that, man. Julio, he can't talk to nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at them, man. All 3 of them, man. They set this up for a little bit. They set it up for a minute.
Been committed by Mr. Murphy. There will be testimony from detectives about gang affiliation as it relates to Mr. Murphy, as it relates to Rashad Murphy, as it relates to Mr. Chance, and there won't be any, I believe, as it relates to Mr. Gathright. The testimony is also going to outline the gangs themselves, the nature of the gangs, inclusive of their background and their history, sometimes going back to their inception, long before any of these detectives were involved in their particular investigation of those individual gangs, collectively or individually, and also how these gangs are not traditional gangs, they're hybrid gangs. They have no hierarchy, they have no rules, they have no consequences, they have no punishments, and that is an important aspect when we talk about how they differ from a traditional gang where one member does things only at the behest of other gang members or at the behest of the gang as a whole. There are individual motives.
Listen, man, if you watching this, don't go to no gang. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. Everybody looking for acceptance. You know what I'm saying? Take me in here, take me. Don't do that. It's not worth it at all. Get you a nice group of friends. You know what I'm saying? Everybody go on the right path. Everybody motivate each other. And you know, we'll be good. Everything will be good, man. You don't need gang members, man. They don't do no good for the community at all. Like, none.
Nations in these hybrid gangs that may not have any involvement, any other than an individual grudge or a particular issue between one person and another, doesn't trickle down to any type of group gang type decision or plan. And that is the nature of it being a hybrid gang that mostly is derived historically based on neighborhoods or where you grew up.
So.
Whoa.
What's that?
I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
Guys, Nina just...
But we can't have cumulative testimony.
Correct, Judge, and we will not, it will not be cumulative. There may be one or two that we cover it all with one or two and not call the third, but we have just listed them under the abundance of caution if there's something that one of them cannot speak to.
Okay. Okay.
So 3 different gang experts. You guys know how I feel about gang experts, especially in the YSL trial and the Melly trial. Complete shit show. Because there is a lot of interpretation in some of these cases where these guys testify straight up wrong about what a word could mean. Like, it happens. Guessing in some way what these guys are talking about in their gang language and their gang colors and shit.
When we get there, so.
And Judge, it's my expectation that we will rely on one of them mostly for the expert testimony, but as far as the documentation, there is documentation. Each one of those gang members have been documented with field incident reports that are maintained by the specific person assigned to that gang, so there is fact-related evidence as well. So we are not intending on offering cumulative evidence.
Okay.
And Judge, what I anticipate Ms. Doherty is talking about is a particular report where a person is documented as a gang member pursuant to statutory criteria. That we're not talking about testimony from people as to their gang history and what they do and what they did and what they might be accused of doing and how they relate potentially to a particular murder or a particular shooting. None of that. What Ms. Doherty, I believe, is talking about is the singular report where a particular person is documented as a gang member and under these criteria. And certainly you look at those criteria, and in and of that criteria are unknown interviews with unknown people.
Sure. So, but there's 2 separate issues here, right? Okay. So what we're discussing right now.
Showing interviews of random people. Look at what happened with Woody in the YSL trial. Bro was just spewing bullshit and lies. That's literally what he was doing in the YSL trial.
Hey, if y'all didn't watch the YSL Woody trial, man. Hey, let me know. Leave a comment, man. Let me know if y'all want me to go over it, man. Go do a reaction video. We can watch them go over. The Woody trial was hilarious. Even though it's old, if y'all ain't watch it, man, let me know, man. Let me know.
Woody single-handedly got everyone in the YSL trial free, or the guys that did take pleas at least.
There's not enough evidence to charge anybody with anything. None of these defendants, no one else that might be associated with any kind of gang, and therein lies, even at its root, a problem with what they would like to testify to as it relates to opinion that can't be buttressed by what I believe is admissible evidence, especially as it relates to Mr. Murphy.
This is a good lawyer. Like, he's really going for it. All the opinions and interpretations of these gang experts bring in, how is it all admissible? It's a very thin line.
Law enforcement testimony that establishes a victim, that talks about a perpetrator's gang affiliation, but no testimony about any one of these individuals specifically involved in any one of those circumstances, except for maybe some testimony as it relates to
This motherfucker looks like he's... Sorry, I can't feel bad for him because there's a significant amount of evidence that says he fucking murdered someone, but he don't look too happy.
Sure, Jones is attempting.
For real, bro. Like, come on, man. You gonna do the murder and then you gonna think about it later. Like, come on, bro. Look how for real. Look how he looking. I like, damn, man, I'd have got caught up in this shit. I knew I shouldn't have did it. This is why kids, you do not need to go. Don't do no type of shit. Don't do nothing like this. Like, this is bad for you.
Murder on October 7th, because they're going to take a leap and they're going to talk about Mr. Chance and potentially Mr. Gathright, but mostly Mr. Chance. Without establishing this gang association, and I don't mean criteria under 874, I'm talking about evidence from witnesses. I think the state's intent here is to try to fill this evidentiary gap with testimony from one or more of those detectives, and they're going to cloak it as expert testimony or opinion, but regardless of whether it is, it's based on hearsay, it's based on speculation, it's based on contextualized inference, none of which is admissible under 702.
Sounds like the YSL trial.
The murder of Joe Rod Adams.
Mr. Howard was convicted of manslaughter in that case.
Yes, he was, and will be a witness in this case, correct?
Oh,
It's Kenny Capps, I believe. Robert Howard, he's going to testify. He's a state's witness again. He did it in the Alicia trial. He got prison time for the murder of Spaz in 2018. Only got manslaughter.
Waiting to hear what he might say on the stand under oath about gangs.
Okay, well,
and about gang association.
And again, the only reason I raise that is because that's actually someone who will be testifying with direct knowledge of these incidents, right?
Direct knowledge of what, Judge?
Of he was convicted and served a 5-year prison sentence for the manslaughter and aggravated battery.
Yes, I believe he will testify under oath that, in fact, that's the case.
Which means he can be cross-examined.
Correct.
Which is my point.
Yes, Judge. And now what other contextual knowledge he may have about anybody here or gangs in general?
No, I know. I'm just trying to draw the distinction between at least that incident. The state will have some direct evidence with a witness who then can be cross-examined.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, all right.
Now, I don't believe it will be as it relates to evidence that I'm suggesting in this motion is inadmissible or not inextricably intertwined. But nonetheless, we get there when we get there.
Right.
Judge Adrian Bibby Gaynor, Hakeem Kesu Robinson was charged in that case.
Right, and that was from February of 2019.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, then we move on to August 16th of 2023.
Yes, Judge. Jake Pickens, that case is unsolved. Jacoby Beals is unsolved.
And that's from August 17th of 2023, correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay.
Then October 7th, Antonio Tilley, Jawan Mills was convicted on that case, but I don't believe there's any gang association based on testimony from detectives, and I'll get to that when I get to that individual case. And then we have October 7th, which is Charles Jones' attempted murder. That is unsolved as well.
Okay.
Essentially, just briefly, Detective McCullough, when asked, are you saying they're claiming credit for some of these shootings? What do you mean by that? Well, they'll get on social media, Instagram or Spaces or Clubhouse, which is like a social media platform, and they'll just start talking about it. He got what he deserved, stuff like that, just claiming, basically taking responsibility for it. None of that insinuates anyone is taking responsibility for anything. They are rapping about it. And he says that in one part of his response, but they would like to...
They so crazy. They'll do the murder and then rap about it, bro. Just like he said. Come on, man. Y'all want street cred that bad that y'all got to rap about it too? This don't make no sense, man.
Yes, that basically they're taking responsibility, which again is an inadmissible opinion on his part that's not buttressed by any evidence.
That's the shit I don't like. I'm gonna keep saying it's like the YSL trial. They say, oh no, he's taking credit for the murder for this when he literally isn't. Like they really do try to make shit fit in these trials when it comes to gang shit.
No one is specifically saying I did this. Well, of course, as we talked about, nobody gets on a video and says, I killed this guy. And I guess that's not what I was asking, but his answer is correct. People are not saying they're just taking credit for it. What's happening in these social media posts and sometimes in these rap videos are the same thing that's happening at the same time out in the community. Somebody gets killed, there are thousands of people talking about it. People hate it, people like it, people laud it, people think it was deserved, people know what happened, so-and-so got shot, so-and-so was walking down the street. This is a community whereby social media, the ability to have knowledge and information is quick. And detectives testify to that. This is not relegated to one single group or one single person that knows about what happened to somebody. It's what they say about it. And therefore, we have to be careful. I believe the court has to be careful not to suggest to the jury and not to allow evidence that would lead a jury to believe that somebody had something to do with something when that's not what they're saying.
Right, I agree.
At one point in time, Mr. Howard, a state witness, told a person, somebody's going to die on my 8. And then Dishman testified that she believed that Howard was talking about his friend, Lawrence Davis, who's called 8. That's the evidence of this gang affiliation in my...
So he's saying it was over a girl, not gang shit?
Fine.
The murder of Spaz?
What ends up happening subsequently is that Biddy Gaynor is alleged to be a second shooter. He's not charged. Mr. Howard ends up either taking the rap or pleading guilty to a manslaughter on what was...
So that's the other thing about Spaz dying at the high school football game. Bibby apparently was the second shooter that never got arrested for it. Like Kenny Capps or Richard Howard took the fall for it, allegedly.
And essentially along the way, the whole case falls apart because people recant what they were saying. They say they weren't telling the truth.
Right.
And they say they got threats. none, law enforcement can't corroborate any of these claims.
Well, let me see this, Mr. Gonzalez. Let's just assume the state has evidence, enough evidence to go before a jury to make the argument that Joe Rod Adams was, in fact, had some close relationship. They even, whether or not they were actual family members, maybe refer to themselves as family members, whatever that may be. Wouldn't that be direct evidence potentially of a motive involving Davion and Rashad Murphy?
No, Judge. I think we have a significant remoteness involved. I don't believe that the jury should be led down a path that simply because one person was related to another, right, that would provide the modus to kill somebody 6 years later.
And remind me, and I may be getting, because I may be misremembering, but was there not a video that Mr. Jones is performing in, or someone affiliated with Mr. Jones, where the gravesite of someone's being desecrated? Am I remembering that correct?
Yeah, that was a crazy video, music video right there. If y'all ain't seen it, bro, that was a crazy video.
Wait. It's another incident, though. That's the town center shooting. But
Okay.
there are references.
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct. And it is of Mr. Joe Rod Adams.
Right. So Joe Rod Adams, and again, I'm just assuming for the sake of argument that there is evidence that there is some close relationship between the Murphys and Joe Rod Adams. He's murdered, and then Charles Jones actually makes a video where I think they're pouring alcohol or something on the gravesite.
That's correct, Your Honor. So there was an initial video where it's believed that someone was urinating on the gravesite.
Right.
Mr. Jones is alleged to have taken that a bit further and made an actual video with beverages or something.
I think that Detective Drabeck, in his deposition, stated that as it relates to Gaynor's murder, that although he was a suspect in Adams' murder that he wasn't charged with because everybody recanted, that he opined that Adams' murder was not the nexus for Bibby Gaynor's murder. That's what he says on page 29 and 30. Instead, he believes that the murder happened out of pure opportunity, not revenge, not retribution. And that's his sworn testimony.
That's interesting. Not revenge. Just Queso was just in the Hilltop Apartments and saw him and was like, oh shit. Like, it wasn't revenge, but...
And same ability that he's going to be testifying to. Somebody else told him that we don't know who it is. Some social media post said it. Some Instagram Live said it. It's not documented. There's no report. There's no witness that's going to testify to
But
it.
can't gang experts testify to that?
No, Judge, I don't believe they can.
Judge sounded like she gonna let this shit in based off the way she just said that.
In fact, potentially admissible against one defendant and shouldn't be admissible against others.
Which is what?
Which is Niven matches between the shell casings recovered on October 7th at the scene and casings found in Sean Gathwright's vehicle. And essentially, Detective Nieder, based on the same analysis, is going to say that Jones was shot in retaliation for Tilly. And he believes that Isaiah Chance was involved. And his opinion is that Chance and Gathright were close friends, spent a lot of time together.
Well,
and
this case not going to be able to get into that.
Well,
it's unsolved, and Detective Nieder is not going to be able to opine that he thinks Isaiah Chance was involved in the attempted murder of Charles Jones.
Well, that's been what's been suggested up to now. And am I mistaken? I'm mistaken.
We wouldn't go into that sort of opinion testimony. We do plan on presenting the physical evidence that ties him to that,
Yeah.
as well as any statements he made, but not through the opinion of
Right.
the officer. They have not charged.
They're gonna show the jury the connection with the physical evidence, but not the detective giving his opinion.
Not relevant to Mr. Murphy and not admissible to Mr. Murphy.
Well, it's a conspiracy charge.
Judge, again, we'll get to that because that's what the supplemental. That's what the supplemental.
Well, that's a separate issue. So
right,
let's just
supplemental
stay,
issue.
let's just stay
Judge,
focused. So,
Judge.
no gang. The state calls gang expert, whoever it may be. They're not going to be able to opine about culpability of anybody who hasn't actually been charged or arrested or proven guilty. So that's not going to happen.
Okay, because certainly Detective Nieder was very clear when he said that Chance was upset with ATK.
Well, I understand. Law enforcement says lots of things in depositions that never come before a jury.
Understood. That's why we want to make sure that that's covered
it's
in a motion
not.
like this. So, Judge, at the end of the day, again, I would rely on the motion and the particularity it sets forth, and essentially tell the court that the state can only establish the connection between the charged act and the prior act by relying on the detectives, in my estimation, I believe buttressed by the case law, improper testimony of lyrical interpretations. We skipped through that part, but it's in the motion, and what somebody thinks something says without it being coded language, without it being a circumstance where this language is used over and over and over and over again, which would allow an expert to testify to it. I do not believe that any of these detectives should be allowed to testify as experts based on the arguments that I've made and also those that are in the motion. I've included their depositions, Judge, which I think are really instructive when they're talking at length about their jobs and what they do and how they do it and how they get their information. I don't think the court has to rely on me. I think it's very clear in the depositions under oath. And finally, Judge, that they are drawing these clues from songs that are released by artists that are commercially viable. They can't establish gang affiliation other than maybe by 874 criteria, which I think is different than testimony that would allow this evidence to be relevant and admissible. And especially to show that there's a motive for these killings, it should be done with competent, non-hearsay evidence. And those prior acts are rendered irrelevant when they're not done that way.
Hey, man, he did a good job. Let's see what the state says.
For
Here's
real.
another defense lawyer.
That Mr. Davion Murphy was basically incarcerated either in the Jacksonville County Jail and Florida State Prison from 1916 until almost to January 2023.
Jamie, 2016? You said 1916.
I apologize. 2016 until January 2023. The same argument as provided by Mr. Gonzalez on behalf of Rashad Murphy. Mr. Davion Murphy is not alleged to be a suspect or anything in either of the 6 prior acts.
My guy was in prison from 2016 to 2023. This motherfucker already did a 7-year bid, and he better go back. He was out for how long? Did a 7-year bid and managed to get involved in a murder within a year.
He's clearly not a gang member. No one's
What?
even alleged that he's a
Man, that's crazy, bro. They do say though, man, if you go to jail, man, you always gonna go back. It's like a revolving door, bro. But that's crazy right now, bro. That's facts.
gang member. As you heard from all of the alleged experts who testified, I guess it was last week, none of them had even heard of his name prior to being contacted by
Talking about Sean Gaith, right?
Detective Ramos. The only connection that friends with
Apparently you can go from 0 to a complete site in just a single prompt with Wix Harmony. I don't know if this is going to be possible. Or vibe coding
with Isaiah Chance. And even that, I think, is pretty speculative. There clearly were communications between Mr. Gathright and Chance, but I believe there's some thought that they must have been best friends, and I don't think there's evidence to support that. The only thing connecting Mr. Gathright to these gangs is his communication with Chance, and quite frankly, I think that the connection between Mr. Chance and the gangs is pretty speculative as it is, but that's the only connection. So he's clearly not a gang member, and I don't believe he can even qualify as a gang associate, just based on the fact that he's communicating with Chance. But that...
Well, the state has not identified.
No.
And as far as I can tell, they're not seeking to prove that Mr. Gathright is a criminal gang member or associate, just a member of a conspiracy involving other gang members. Okay. All right.
And again, judges, if that's the case, then basically everyone Mr. Chance has ever talked to is a gang associate. I know that's probably a separate motion, but when we talk about relevance of all these other prior gang activities, the only connection, again, to Mr. Gathright is the fact that he's communicating with Isaiah Chance. Talking about each one specifically.
That was funny. Pretty much everyone's a gang member then, by their definition.
The Gerard Adams incident, Mr. Gathright would have been 13 years old, I believe, when that took place. The Bibby Gaynor incident, he would have been, I believe, 14 years old.
These are some funny defenses. Hey, bro, we were in prison. We were 13 or 14.
And the Antonio Tilley. The only connection, again, with the Charles Jones incident that takes place on the same date is the casings that are found in the Night matches. But as you heard from the detectives last week, Mr. Gathright...
Come on, the cases, bro. He's saying that like it's just all normal. You got the gun shell casings of the gun that a dude that just got shot from. Come on, man. You can't make that sound normal. Can't make that sound like it's cool.
Radar in that case until the casings came back. So it's really just the mere fact that these casings are in the house. There's no explanation as to how they got there or whatnot. And there are, by the way, as you heard, there's a substantial amount of firearms and firearms evidence within the house that's searched. So that, Your Honor, I believe the relevance, whatever relevance would have all these incidences, and really the only one, as Mr. Gathright, that could have any relevance whatsoever is the Charles Jones shooting. But the undue prejudice would far outweigh whatever relevance that evidence might have.
And I think it's important to know that Robert Howard, who's, as the court is aware, is going to testify, at his deposition denied being a gang member of 6 Block. So I understand that they're going to try to get it a different way, but they're going to get someone here, like Mr. Gonzalez stated in the Richardson Hayes case, but this time this person can say, no, I wasn't a member of 6 Block. Then we have a 6-month gap. We have a Gaynor shooting. That's alleged, well, it's not alleged, it's a charge of ATK. The next 4 that all occurred in 2023 are all unsolved. And no one is going to testify as that was involved in any of those shootings. You're going to have no gang members to come here and testify to that. In the Pickens, in the state's motion, it says ATK is believed to be involved. Again, it needs to go back.
That is true, bro. Like, it almost seems not fair to include murders that are unsolved in a case like this, right? I understand the ones that are convicted and...
Opine on someone who committed a crime that we don't have conviction. And I would argue that you can't opine the gang affiliation of a person who we don't know committed the crime. Again, it's another step that requires Detective Nieder to opine. Detective Nieder, in his deposition, stated he gets his info mainly from social media. He does talk to gang members, but he gets general information, not specific information for them. They're not confessing to crimes for him.
This is Isaiah's lawyer, by the way.
Just the Beale shooting is alleged to involve 1,200, not ATK, and as Mr. Gonzalez stated, the last Charles Jones shooting is not involved a gang at all. They're going to say that Mr. Gathright is an associate, but again, that involves being friends with one gang member at the most. In Richardson, again, it was 76 days, and the court says it's a continuation and consequence of preceding events. I'm going to argue that 6 years and 5 years ago, there's not preceding events to this crime. I would argue even, we have an 8-month gap between the last event in this historical gang war and this shooting.
All right, let's see what the state says back to all this.
But Judge, there are going to be, I know that Mr. Gonzalez has kept saying, like, this is all based on hearsay. That is not true. There were some additional witnesses that were listed that were involved in those 6 other cases. And again, it's not going to be a feature. What I plan to do, Judge, is to have either a first responder just testify briefly within 2 to 5 minutes that they responded to that homicide, who the victim was, and then the gang expert is later going to connect up that victim was actually a member of one of these gangs. And then the next day, these are real things, real facts, real deaths that did happen, and the victim of one gang is killed, and then the next day, a victim of the opposite opposing gang is killed. And so, Judge, this jury should have a real, true, accurate picture of the very gang war that is going on. And these incidents also, even though they exceed the time frame, I understand what they're saying about Richardson and Hayes, the particular of that gang war, the escalation of violence, but it was 6 shootings that occurred back and forth, happened in a very short period of time. It's different in this case, but the incidences that we have selected are relevant to this case, and some of the relevance doesn't even have to do with any of them. It has to do with the victim and as a consequence with all of them, because the victim in this case, the motive for, and obviously one of the rap videos that we're going to introduce, and the motive for why they did not like him and were very upset and angry enough to kill him is his drill rap videos. And certainly that also goes to our gang experts' testimony. They do have specialized knowledge. This is something that they all have years of experience in this gang unit where they are monitoring this activity on social media, and it's not hearsay. They are visually monitoring it, and they see a death happen, and then within 2 or 3 days, sometimes within the very next day, there is a video that is posted detailing and ditching the person who was just killed. All of that.
Desecrating some.
Come on, man. Y'all got to be smarter than that, bro. Like, y'all ain't even gonna let it die out a little bit. You telling on yourself, bro.
Gravesite's pretty provocative behavior.
Yes, Judge.
You don't say.
And is inextricably intertwined and shows why he was targeted and why he was killed. And Judge, when you talk about the hearsay, that is why we have listed either a first responder or the detective. Detective Nieder actually responded to some of those incidents. So we are not going to call 6 witnesses, but certainly the ones that he did not respond to, we have just listed a first responder, or we have listed the detective who actually went on scene and can say, on this day I responded, this person was killed, and his name. And then we will go to our detective to say that that is a confirmed member of 1200, or that is a confirmed member of 6 Block or Bully Gang, which is a subset of 6 Block. So this by no means is going to be a feature of the case. And all of these detectives, even within the depositions, were honest and said they didn't know that was an unsolved case. But certainly after a case where a victim is identified as a gang member and the opposing group then posts a video claiming credit, making fun of that victim's death the very next week or within a short time period, certainly that is a specialized knowledge, and it goes to the very heart of this case and the very motive why our victim was killed. And the probative value of motive, wanting to kill the victim, has a high value, and it is not going to ever be outweighed by the prejudicial nature. And that is what Harris and Richardson really explain when it let in 6 other shootings into a case, because it gave the jury an accurate depiction of the war, the escalation of this gang war, which led to those 3 people being shot and a child being killed. And so
both sides are convincing me. I don't know what the judge is going to do here. She's going to look at the law. She's probably going to let it in, bro. Like, come on, let's be realistic.
In establishing its case, the state is entitled to present evidence which paints an accurate picture of the events surrounding the crime charged, but cannot make the evidence of other crimes the feature of the trial or introduce evidence solely for the purpose of showing bad character or propensity. Collateral crime evidence, regardless of its status as similar or dissimilar fact evidence, is admissible if it is inextricably intertwined with the charged crime. Collateral crime evidence is inextricably intertwined if it is necessary to 1, adequately describe the deed, 2, provide an intelligent account of the crimes charged, 3, establish the entire context out of which the charged crimes arose, or 4, adequately describe the events leading up to the charged crimes. Additionally, evidence is admissible if the prior incidents are relevant to several material issues, including motive, intent, and identity. So based upon the facts and the motions and the arguments of counsel, I am going to find that the 6 identified incidents in the state's motion in limine are inextricably intertwined, and they are relevant to motive, intent, and identity. Okay? So those, just as a threshold, those 6 incidents.
That's facts. I believe that too. All of them tying together. They've been trying to get Foolio for a minute, boy. I ain't lying to you. And I think we're going to end it on that. They've been trying to get Julio for a minute, y'all, man. What y'all think about this video, bro? What y'all think about this trial, man? Leave a comment. I read the comments, man. Let me know what you think about this trial, bro. Like, come on, man. Y'all got to do better, bro. Come on, we got to stop the killing. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Man, let me know what y'all think about the trial, what the next video should be. Should we keep doing the updates? What y'all think, man? Let me know. Appreciate y'all. Hey, Vesta, we out.